Now, who had the first problem? I asked myself this question. Who had the first problem? And it is very, very interesting that we will come to know that the first problem that, people usually say Adam or Eve, or both Adam and Eve had the first problem. Yeah, that's true. But basically, even before Adam had a problem, God himself had a problem. And that's quite an interesting fact. When I say a problem, again, we're looking at it through the biblical set of eyes. We're not talking about a crisis where there's no answer. We're talking about a problem and answer embedded in the problem. The biggest problem was God encountered is when man went against his rule, went against his law, went against his word. And the Bible actually calls it a treason. And he said, I can manage on my own. And that was the beginning of the problem. With God himself had an issue. God himself had a concern. If you even backdate it and go backwards, there was another problem God faced. That is Lucifer himself rebelled against God. So the first person who actually had a problem was God himself. And that's quite an assurance to know that even God had a crisis. But as I made a mention to you, please remember that every crisis has an answer embedded in it. And therefore, what did the Lord do when the first crisis came? When Lucifer rebelled against God, there was a problem. God had the answer. He was thrown down. God had a problem with his own creation. So what did he do? He made a way of escape. The Bible says, interestingly, that the problem which God faced, the answer to the problem was there even before the problem started. And that's something amazing. I got this revelation some time back. It blew my mind. The answer to the problem God had with Adam and Eve, the answer to the problem existed even before the problem began. Let me explain to you. The sin issue started in the Garden of Eden. But Revelation chapter 13, verse number 8, the Bible says, the Lamb who was slain from the foundations of this earth, solution to man's problem, existed even before the problem can begin. And that's how awesome God is. And so, therefore, a problem is not a problem because the solution existed before the problem. And not only that, Revelation, I believe 1 Peter chapter 1, verse number 20, the Bible says, he indeed was foreordained, talking about Jesus, before the foundations of the world, but was manifest in these last times. Yes, Jesus died 2,000 years ago, but spiritually speaking, he was manifest even before the foundations of the earth. Therefore, the biggest crisis God faced was mankind and his rebellion, which is called sin, which is transgression of the law, transgressions, overstepping what God said. But the answer to that existed even before the problem can begin. So I'm encouraged because every time as a believer we face a crisis, the answer is there even before the problem can begin. And so that should assure us that we can go through these issues in life with a song.